Hello guys, welcome to a new video of the Fischer series. Today we're looking at round number 27 of the candidate tournament of Knight 59. It's Fischer against Tal and it's getting really interesting now. As you can see from the current standings, either Tal or Keres will win the tournament. Who's going to challenge Mikhail for the world title? I mean, this is a beautiful game. We see a lot of pieces hanging, brilliant moves, so I can't wait to show you the game. Fischer has the white pieces and he starts with e4. So Tal obviously wants to win and he plays an aggressive opening, the Sicilian, with c5. Now we have knight to f3, the open Sicilian, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, and a6. We're now in the Najdorf, in which Fischer really loves bishop c4, the Fischer-Sozen attack named after himself. And now you can play multiple moves. You can play e6, you can even play b5 straight away. But e6 is the main line in which you limit the scope of the light squared bishop. And usually you play bishop to b3 straight away, because now Tal plays b5, and otherwise it would come with tempo. So bishop b3, b5, and now usually, because Tal wants to play b4 later on and kick this knight on c3, and the knight is defending the e4 pawn. So you either play f3 or a3 to defend it directly or indirectly. But here Fischer plays a bit more aggressive. He plays f4. He probably wants to push e5 later on. But by playing f4, now Tal plays b4, knight to a4, and knight takes e4, which is actually a bit inaccurate. Better is to play bishop to b7 to put more pressure on the pawn, because by playing knight takes e4, now Fischer castles. And if you look at the position, we have a lot of our pieces actually already into the game. Very active. And if you look at Black's position, he only moved pawns and he moved the knight twice. So all his other pieces are very inactive here. So tempo-wise, we're doing definitely better here. And here Tal plays g6. And now Fischer starts with playing some brilliant moves. He starts doing so by playing f5, opening up the position and giving away a pawn. Because after g takes, Fischer now plays knight takes f5, giving away the knight. Because if you take the knight, then we would have queen to d5, attacking the rook. And if you try to save the rook with a7, now we have queen to d4, and we're attacking both rooks now. So that's why after knight takes f5, you cannot actually take it. So Tal plays one of the best moves, rook to g8. And now Fischer doesn't even bring the knight back. He plays another brilliant move, which is bishop to d5. I mean, this is beautiful, playing this style against Tal, who's known to be very aggressive and a magician and just giving away pieces. So a taste of his own medicine, you could say. And still, you cannot take both of the pieces. If you take the knight, we simply take the rook and we're doing better. We're up +1. We have a crushing attack here. The king is very misplaced on e8, very unsafe. So you cannot take the knight. And if you take the bishop, we simply take it back. We have the same threat on the rook. And if you move the rook, we take the knight with check. Material-wise, it's equal, but just look at our position. It's way more active. So still, you cannot take both pieces. And Tal here plays again the best move. And I must also give credit to Tal. He plays amazing here as a defense. He plays rook to a7. Still just not taking both pieces. And here we have two moves to keep the advantage. Fischer plays one of those two moves, and that is bishop takes e4. You could have also played bishop to e3 to still keep this attack, and then the rook will be captured. If you try to save the rook again, then we have bishop takes e4, and after pawn takes e4, simply bishop to f3. We will bring the rook in. The bishop will come to b6 with this attack, and this is simply crushing. So Fischer here plays bishop takes e4. Now we have e takes f5, bishop takes f5, and rook to e7. Tal is playing amazing defense here, but still, Fischer played like 99% accurate here. But now it gets a bit tricky. Okay, material-wise it's actually equal here, but if you look at the position, we are doing way better with our king safety than black. But how can we continue playing here? Well, Fischer first takes the bishop, and after queen takes, we have a critical moment into the game. Here you have to play either c3, c4, or rook to f2. And why do you have to play those moves? Well, if you play c3, we're defending the knight, and later on when we, for example, after takes, knight takes, we can bring the king into a4 with this check. And if you play rook to f2, we are defending this checkmate threat, because here Fischer made a little inaccurate move. He played bishop to f4, which just looks very logical, honestly. Developing the bishop, connecting the rooks, bringing the queen in. But now we have an amazing move by Tal, queen to c6. Attacking the knight and also threatening checkmate. That's why you had to play either c3 to keep defending the knight, or rook to f2 to defend the g2 pawn and the checkmate threat. But now you are forced to play queen to f3, and after queen takes a4, bishop takes d6. Tal doesn't even move the rook away, because if you move the rook away, then we have rook a e8, king to d8, queen to f6 check, and this is just crushing, where we're doing way better. Here Tal just brings back the queen, which is an amazing move, because if you take the rook, simply queen takes, rook takes, bishop takes, and we have 3 pieces against 2 pieces. This should be a draw. And here Fischer makes an interesting move. You can either take the rook or the knight, but he prefers to take the knight for some reason, which I don't really get, because after queen to b6 check, king to h1, we will bring the queen to b8 and capture the bishop, and still there's nothing here. So why not just take the bigger minor piece instead of the knight? But okay, Fischer took the knight here, and after queen b6 check, king to h1, queen takes b8. Now we only have one move to keep the game equal. Fischer here played queen c6 check, which is actually not a good move, because after rook to d7, rook a e1 check, bishop to e7, everything is holding here. Fischer had to find rook a to e1 to keep this pressure, and you cannot even take it, because then we have, first we do not take back, but we actually play queen takes f7 check, king to d8 check, rook takes e1, and now we have a double threat on those pieces. So after rook a to e1, Tal had to find king to d7 or king to d8. But okay, Fischer here played queen to c6, and after rook to d7, rook a e1, bishop to e7. If you look at the material, it's 2 rooks, a queen and a queen, a bishop with 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns. So we're -2. So Tal's actually doing better. So Fischer's like, okay, I'm -2, let me just give away this rook, because after king takes, queen to e6 check. If you go to e8 to defend the rook, it's actually mate in 1. So we have to play king to f8, but now queen takes d7. Now we're -1, but still, it's really hard to win this. Tal just has too many pieces, and with 2 pieces, checkmating the black king is really difficult. So after this, Tal just plays very accurately. He brings in his pieces. He eventually exchanges the queens, and this is simply lost for Fischer, because 2 pieces are just too hard to attack. See the pieces moving around, and after rook to c8, bishop takes b2. Now we have a passer, which is really hard to defend. And after some moves, Tal plays a really nice move, b2 here. You cannot take the rook. Then we have we make a queen with a check, so you cannot even take the queen. And after king to c4, queen to c2, king to d6, queen to d5, we have queen to c6 checkmate. And I mean, This was a really beautiful game by Fischer. The opening he played like 99% accurate, but the rest of the game it was really hard to find the accurate follow-up to keep the pressure, keep the advantage. And I mean, Tal just played the end game better and eventually won the tournament. There's also one interesting detail about their matchup. They had 4 games during this candidates. Tal won all 4 of them, but I think it was game 2 or game 3 in which Fischer had an advantage again. And he wrote down a move which Tal actually saw, but he didn't play it yet. But Fischer was like, okay, Tal saw my move, but his face didn't get nervous. So he decided to play the other move, which led to Fischer losing. So that's a bit of an interesting, nice detail about their matchup. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If so, please like, subscribe or comment. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.